Hey y'all, it's Danielle with Black Business Boom, and I am live with mayoral candidate Vivian Wilhoite. Really excited to have Vivian. It's like I keep running into her
Yeah.
over these last few days. Ran into her at the Equity Alliance brunch. We were at the same table, and then ran into her at camp for B Academy randomly on Monday. And I was like, I just got to get you on this week to talk about your
Mhm.
platform and let people
Mhm.
learn a little bit about you. So
Yeah.
happy to make this happen today. How
Yeah.
are you, Vivian?
I'm doing great. I mean, we're just, doing our thing. I'm doing my thing, going to all of these forums and of course letting everyone know about the platform and how we are believing and what we want to share with Nashville Davidson Countyans about our vision for Nashville. I tell you what, those last two events that we saw each other at, they were two amazing events. And guess what, Danielle? They were all about women. Wasn't that something?
They were.
Young girls and
And
black women.
women.
That
Yeah.
was one.
And we
Yeah.
need more of that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was really
More
excited.
encouragement, more wraparound, more love.
Absolutely. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what it was at the
that's right.
Equity Alliance brunch. It was just a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful event. We had a time. So,
Right.
well, let's talk about the platform because I really want people to learn more about you and your plans for Nashville.
Yeah.
So, what's really near and dear to my heart is small business and my large community of Black business owners and getting them the support that they need. So, I would love to learn about, your plans for the support of small businesses,
Right.
whether that be through funding, through resources, mentorship. What does Vivian see for the future of small business in Nashville?
Well, it's a little bit of all that. I'm as mayor of Nashville Davidson County, it's my plan to have for the first time an Office of Economic and Development, and a part of that is going to be the Small Business Initiative, as well as workforce development. We're going to have to focus on that area because that's an area that we have not focused for so long. Big businesses, as of course, has done very well here in Nashville. As mayor, it is our job to grow the city, and many times it is because of uh, the businesses that we bring here that allows us to be able to afford some of the programs and services and resources that we provide in our neighborhoods. But my platform is about both. It's about stronger neighborhoods and stronger businesses. And with stronger neighborhoods, which we all want to live in a great neighborhood, we want one that's going to be that's unified, that has resources that bring communities together. Us knowing who is in our community, us getting together in order to make a stronger community, as reference to keeping it clean, which helps to keep it safe. Those type of things were the type of resources that was being provided before COVID. Now that COVID has, shown its ugly head and has now dissipated to a degree, we still we still have to get that build back up. So Danielle, my opinion, for stronger neighborhoods, we need to first be able to identify all of our community leaders, all of our community groups, and be able to know that they are of value. And working through organizations like Neighbor to Neighbor, which has the boots on the ground of helping to, you know, make neighborhoods stronger with information. Information is powerful, so that neighborhoods can be able to be strong again. But if you live in a stronger neighborhood or a strong neighborhood, you also want to have a great business or have an amazing job. So that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why we have to have strong neighborhoods. And as I stated before, excuse me, strong businesses. And as I stated before, in order for businesses, everyone to feel strong and everyone to benefit from the great growth of Nashville, it must trickle down to small businesses. And I do believe that by having a department of our Office of Economic Development and have an intricate part that's going to be about small business development, that's going to help small business to come along and be able to understand what are the resources and what is available for them in order to be successful. And
Yeah,
that's
I
very
love.
important. We don't have that.
I was truly blown away to learn that Nashville did not have a department that focused on economic development, and there it was really kind of solely the task of one
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
in the Chamber of Commerce to really drive
Hmm.
that. And so I'm happy to hear that.
Hmm.
So
Well,
as you talked about, go ahead, Vivian. I'm sorry.
I can interrupt there, just respectfully. Yes, it was the task of one person, and that's going to be the other thing that's going to be the resources of that office. It's going to be fully staffed. that it's not a job that can be done alone. And there's a couple departments like that that really needs to be fully staffed. We're going to get there because we do know that it takes meat on the bone in order for you to eat, right? You can't just have a bone and suck on a bone. You got to have some meat on it.
Yeah.
So you take that same analogy and you apply it to the vision and what you want for small businesses to have meat on the bone. That what does that mean? The meat of incentivizing, the meat of bringing it forward to them about available grants, the meat of about low interest rate loans. Those are the type of meat you want, not something that's just a one person show who's trying to do their very best to bring you information that they don't have.
Yeah, I mean, it's like over here, I would not be able to sit here with you if I didn't have my team working on other things in the background. So that it's so important that there
Absolutely.
is a team, as much as we want to thrive as one person and be successful and
Mhm.
serve as one person, it's just impossible.
It's
We need
impossible.
that team. So I'm
Absolutely.
happy to hear that. So you
Absolutely.
talked about neighborhoods. And I think an important part of that in preserving neighborhoods
Mhm.
is affordable housing. And we've seen that
Mhm.
that is a big issue here in
Yeah.
Nashville. So I would love to hear about your plans for affordable housing for Nashville.
Well, the plan for affordable housing basically is based solely on the supply and demand. Right now, we have a low stock, and that's what makes affordable housing more expensive because there is not enough supply. So it's important that government that we increase that supply. But in order to do that, we have to have help from public and private partnerships. We cannot do it alone. It's not possible. We must be able to incorporate and join hands with people like the Housing Fund. But let me go back to this in developing and building affordable housing, we have to get with private developers, incentivize them, but as well, make it clear that this is going to be for affordable housing, whether it be rental units. And then, of course, we don't want everything like a New York and just have a city of rentals, but we also want to have the transition to home ownership. And that's so very important. So, incentivizing private developers in order to create affordable housing, the stock that we need because we don't have enough is important. And joining with groups and getting around the table and having these conversations to create our plan and going forward. Now, as the assessor of property, I've taken a look at some property land that we're looking to see if it's buildable and to identify this property that's owned by Metro government and be able to utilize that property to build affordable housing. We also have empty buildings, whether it be schools or just buildings that we've had before for other uses under Metro government. We need to begin to transform those buildings into some type of workforce housing, some type of affordable housing rental units. And as I've said in many forums, if it ain't making money, it ain't making sense. So for it to sit there dormant and not to be utilized is a tragedy. We need to be put that to work for the people.
Absolutely, I agree. I
Mhm.
love again the creativity, and we have to start to think outside the box about how we meet some of these goals, and if we want to truly serve the community and meet their needs.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, when you think about affordable housing, my son, I'm really enjoying how he's becoming really involved in the political process. It hasn't been attractive to him all these years, and with the possibility that his mother will be the next mayor, he talks about a couple of topics. One has been the speedway, and he's bringing me information that he's found. And affordable housing was one he touched on today, and he said he saw on social media where someone said we need to have reparation for Black people, in reference to affordable housing. And I said, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I said, but this is scenario. Danielle owns some property, and Danielle had a person who's been renting from her for years. All of a sudden, the big boom comes to Nashville, and Danielle has decided for her property, she wants to sell it. She wants to get out of the rental business, and she wants to, benefit from this big boom and sell this house for way more than what it's worth because it's crazy what people are buying property
Crazy,
for, right? Okay.
crazy.
So Danielle has the property right, has the right to sell her property. And Danielle may say, I'm gonna give you 60 days to get out, I'm gonna give you next week to get out, or I'm gonna give you a year to get out. It depends on what type of
Mhm.
property owner Danielle is. I hope Danielle's the type of person that may not want to put the person out at all. But because we're in a free enterprise, Danielle has the right to make money off of her property, and we should not judge for that reason, right? But that's the type of reparation he was speaking of for that person being pushed out. You give reparation to that person's being pushed out. I said, baby, it's not quite like that. However, what government should do is to make sure that people don't become unhoused. And that's so very important. So we must be able to provide options where a person can transition from when somebody who has their own property and want to make benefits off their property, but be able to move into something that is affordable. And that has been the problem. And that is what's going on now in Nashville.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we also know that there's been a spike in crime and violence here in Nashville. And I think many of us, like myself, I moved from the south side of Chicago, so I did not come here seeking to be somewhere where I had to worry about.
Hold up, Danielle. We ain't quite the south side of Chicago now. I know
Nah,
about south
it ain't
side.
that bad. Now
It ain't that
let
bad.
me
Okay,
clarify, it's
come
not
on now.
that bad.
Huh?
But
Otherwise, you'll be moving
you
from here
came
to
here
somewhere.
thinking going down to Nashville, I ain't gonna have to
Yeah,
worry about
yeah,
getting carjacked,
yeah,
all these
yeah.
things.
And
So
while we laugh, it's not funny, but I
no,
hear
but
you. I hear you. Yeah.
but of course, again, we don't want to see it
No,
continue to go
that's right.
down that path.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit about your plans for kind of getting rid of or helping to get rid of some of that spike in crime and violence that we've seen over the last few years?
Yeah. Well, as mayor, leadership starts at the top, no doubt about that. But as mayor, we have the person that you hire, and we have that we hire to be the chief, and we have an amazing chief that's now representing Nashville Davis County Police Department, which I was all in for him to become the chief, Chief John Drake, one of Nashville's own sons. And the thing is, as mayor, I think it's very important that I support him, and I think he's doing a great job. But it's important that as mayor that we support him, that we fund his budget, and that we support also those other professions of the legal system, District Attorney Glenn Funk. We must support Judge Sheila Calloway in reference to how she is operating her courts and dealing with youth that are have made some bad choices, but they really at heart are good kids or want to be good kids for that matter. So we have to support all those entities. And I said at the same time, we should also support our public defender, Ms. Johnson. And the reason why I say, even the public defender, is very important that people, while they are being represented, they also want to be represented fairly too. We don't want to plant a wrong crime. I mean, excuse me, a crime on the wrong person. So
Mm-hmm.
so all that support is very important. Um, but there are also things that we can do in working with the city. I mean, excuse me, working with neighborhoods. As I said it before, strong neighborhoods. In neighborhoods, I don't know if you remember the time, Danielle, you're a little bit too young, I think, to remember this, but if you go down, to someone's house or down the road or down the street and you're playing with some friends and you act up, the neighbor will call your mother and tell about how Danielle is misbehaving down here and that she's already disciplined her and she's telling her about what she's did. We don't have that type of neighborhood anymore. People sue you when you touch their kids. But it's very important that we hold our children accountable as well and want them to learn the right way of behaving and learn also how to de escalate. So when we're talking about attracting crime, we have to go to what is causing it. So I do believe that we need to continue to provide and start providing more focused and targeted services in the school system, in the libraries, and our community centers to help children to understand how to de-escalate whenever situations come about. My son, I may use him as an example. I remember he used to tell me that he had to be funny to keep from being bullied and wanted to join a crime. I mean, join a gang. And I find that interesting, but it's sad that he had to use what he had see as his buffer to keep from being involved in something at an early age. So we providing those type of resources to our children at an early age is very important. Of course, when you become an adult, you make wrong decisions. You may do something that you regret, but it should not have to dictate the rest of your life. And when we're talking about the fact of the program where they said, excuse me, where we as a city voted on banning the box. I mean, my thing is, have we truly banned the box? Have we truly decided to give someone an opportunity to reduce recidivism to go back to jail? You know, are we really giving them a job? Are we forcing them to go ahead and open their own business, as so many people have done, cutting yards and having yard services? Because truly people are not actually giving you that chance. So we have to do something that's intentional to really give people an opportunity to make amends with themselves about something that they've done, or to be able to start anew. So we have to be really truthful with ourselves when we're talking about helping people who really have made one choice in their life that they want to change around.
Yeah.
That also helps with reducing crime, because sometimes people feel like they got to go back to the crime in order to be able to survive. That should not be the option. All right. But we can't be a catch-all as government. So that's why, again, this is one of those also approaches that's going to take public-private partnerships in order for us to resolve. You know,
Mm.
working with our faith-based community, working with groups that's already got boots on the ground, partners in the struggle, and of course, our good friend who's passed away, Bishop Sherman. You know, he had an amazing program that that was called uh, uh, Gangs for Gentlemen. And I think I got the topic right. I mean, the title of it correct. But the objective of it was the fact that you can be tough, but it's all about how you're being tough and what you're going to
Mm.
do with that toughness. I do believe that sometimes you have to protect yourself because of the environment that you're in, but it's how you protect yourself. And that's something that he was trying to educate young men about how to approach situations. So just to restate this again, supporting Chief John Drake, of course, and also the other entities of the legal system, D.A. Funk, Sheila Calloway, Judge Calloway, and also Public Defender Johnson, and then going on and then making sure that we have those services in schools, wraparound services that allow a child, a student, a young man, a young lady to be able to learn how to de-escalate when it comes to issues. You know, Danielle, I have a staff of 87 amazing, amazing staffers. And one of the things that I intentionally did was to increase the number of African American males that are appraisers in my office. And
Mm.
one of the things that we recognized, it was kind of interesting that office setting was something different for some of them, not all of them, just some of them. And going through that, saying, hey, this is a different environment, but hey, you can do this because you can. Because you can. It's not hard. It's just different. So you learn from it. And no one's not saying that you can't speak the king's language either. You can go out there and say, hey, what's up, my boy, and all the stuff when you leave here, right? But when in a professional environment, you got to have that transition to be a professional environment. When you leave here, you can do whatever you want. And it's how you relate to people still that's going to be positive. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
This was really great. I really appreciate you for joining me. Again, it was
Oh,
last
it's over?
minute.
It's over? It's over?
Yeah. Oh, I got one last question
We're not to
about
wait. Hold on.
education.
We have to
That's
talk about
the only. I told
education.
you I'm easy. I just want to get the folks informed.
Yeah.
Last question around education in the
Yeah.
public schools. Any plans you have to fill gaps and really address the opportunity gap that's there in the public schools?
Well, when I talk about stronger neighborhoods and stronger businesses, one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is closing the gap on economic parity in neighborhoods that are situated in the same tax district. That also applies to schools. Now, the mayor and the Metro Council, our primary job is to fully fund the school system or fund the school
Mhm.
system. I like to say fully fund the school system. However, even in doing so, we should show and we should not have to say demand, but we must look to have accountability in reference to how monies is used and to ensure that the monies is used in the proper way to meet the targets of the objectives of success. That's important. So when we're talking about education, I think that the mayor can play an intricate role, an active role in education. Even after we do our part of funding, we can be a part of the educational process. I see myself going to schools and having a PTO meeting, the mayor's PTO meeting, hearing directly from the parents. And guess what? Hearing from the students. When I first ran for office as a council member for District 29 back in 2003, I'll never forget knocking on the door of this couple and their friends of mine to this day. And their daughter was at the door with them. And I was, talking about me running for District 29 and, why I want to, provide public service and be of service to them and the other more than 10,000 people that I'll be representing. And the young lady, it was a little girl there, she's about 9. She's an adult now. And I refuse to say that she's an adult because then it puts age on me, and I don't want to do that. But I'm happy to be here. But my point is, she said to me, she said, Mrs. Wilhoite, does that mean that I can tell you about the bus driver who doesn't wait till I sit down or wait for the other kids to sit down before they take off? And some of us sometimes fall. Does that mean I can tell you about that? I said, absolutely. See, that was her concern, getting hurt before she gets to school or getting hurt on the bus. And that was a concern of hers. I said, yeah, that means that I, as a council person, can take that information and get some help and share that and ask the bus driver to give you and the other children the opportunity to sit down on the bus. Now, that's pretty amazing. But as a mayor, you'll receive that information because people will trust
Mhm.
you and they want to come to you with information. And you're meeting people where they are. Now, we may not be as available as always, but I think increasing our availability and accessibility is very important to creating a community and a city that believes in its leadership, and a city that has a leader that believes in its people.
I love it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, again, I greatly appreciate you. This was the very last minute for me to request some of your time. And I know you are very busy, but I really wanted to make sure that the community had the opportunity to learn about you and learn from you even today. So, again, it was amazing. For those that want to learn more about you or donate or just contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, I'm going to take a page from one of my colleagues who's also running for mayor from her book. I'm gonna give you my number, 615-589-2003. And I got to thinking more and more about giving my number, and not that I was ever apprehensive, is that my number's always been out there. So why not give it and say, there it is? I mean, whoop, there it is,
There
six one
you
five
go.
589-2003. You can also reach out to me at vivianformayor.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
National
I
TikTok.
ain't been doing too much of Snapchat, but I'd say, but of course, I try to do as much as we can on social media because I know that's where
Yeah.
most
Like you
many
said, meet the people where they are.
meet the people where they are. That is correct.
Wonderful.
No doubt. We've come
Wonderful.
a long way since I've run for office in 2003, and we've come a long way since I was the sophomore class vice president at Tennessee State University, as well as the freshman class president at Tennessee State University,
Oh,
vice
man.
president at Tennessee State University. So we've come a long ways from those times, and but I think that the different strides that we made are good, but we still got a long way to go. So for Black business boom, I
Yeah.
think that with this partnership, we'll be able to see a lot more things being done in Nashville.
I'm really excited. Yes. Thank
Wow.
you so, so much for joining me. Again, wish you all the best.
Thank
And
you.
I just really, truly appreciate your time today. And everybody, you got the website and you got the phone number. So if you're looking to learn more, you know how to do that.
And
Thank
then you
you.
can send me an email, Vivian
Yeah.
Will at iCloud.com, VivianWilhoite, and it's pronounced Wilhoite, Vivian Wilhoite at iCloud.com. And on my signs, it says Vivian. So that's cool too.
You can't miss them. I've seen them. Love it. All right. Have a wonderful day, Vivian. We really, truly appreciate you. Thanks for tuning